Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Game. Today, we are talking about Escape from Tarkov by Battlestate Games, and I'm here with Nikita Buyanov, studio head of Battlestate Games. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, excellent. Glad to have you. So before we start talking about this, realistic shooter game, this Escape from Tarkov, can you tell us a little bit about Battlestate Games, about the studio, how it got started?
It started like for a long time ago. I think it's almost 10 years. We started like from scratch from a team of 5. Actually, it wasn't like called Battle State. It was called Absolute Soft, and we created Contract Wars title. It's also Unity game, browser based. It was quite popular, and yeah, it's like we started moving from like that times and slowly managed to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And for some day, we decided to make something like big enough to fulfill our like long-awaited dreams of creating hardcore title. That's why Escape from Tarkov was born. So it was like really like long time ago that we decided to do it. So yeah, right now we are more than 100
Oh, wow.
persons, yeah, in the studio, like a lot of outsourced team members, and yeah, working full scale, creating EFT, developing it further, and like planning other things in the future.
How long
So
has
yeah,
Escape from Tarkov been in development?
I think it's 4 years already, and yeah, 4 years.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, I had a chance to play it, and it's really cool. One of the things, and, we had talked previously, and we'll talk more about today is kind of this realism and sort of this hardcore style game and stuff like that. Can you tell me, a little bit about like kind of the inspiration to make a game like this?
First of all, we are like gun lovers. We love everything related to military tactical stuff, and I always loved weapons and wanted to create something related to it. I've always loved games, and like for some amount of time, like a long time ago, like I think maybe 20 or even 25 years ago. Oh, I think 20. Yeah, I played CS, like early versions of it, and I wanted like instantly wanted to create something like this, like something related to guns with customization and stuff. So this was like long, like for a long time ago. I wanted to do it, and when we gathered some experience and resources, we decided to go for it.
Mhm.
And yeah, and like the people here, like at Battle State, we all like-minded. We love weapons, we love FPS games, hardcore mechanics, and the idea to have it in the game, like to transmit a real life experience. We have actually like ex-military like employees here, and we like always wanted to transmit this experience into the game, to
Mhm.
at least have something like some effect, some emotions, like in real life.
Yeah, no, yeah, and absolutely sort of captured that essence of a firefight and stuff. It's actually quite cool. You mentioned Counter Strike, and that made me curious. In your game, if you hold just a knife, do you run faster?
Uh, actually, actually, yes. I
Oh
think
yeah.
yes. Slightly faster because the weight of knife is less than the, like weapon, like primary or secondary weapon. So I think yeah, it's not like you will receive the bonus to like speed of running. You will not receive a limitations to it.
Hmm.
So like yeah, you can say that it will give you slight advantage in terms of speed.
I just
Not
remember
like
that
in
from
CS.
Counter Strike, switching from pistol to knife to move faster and stuff like that. Fantastic.
People usually like used to switch onto melee weapons to have like a longer stamina, like longer amount of time
Hmm.
when you're able to sprint. So yeah, you can say that like it gives you some slight advantage.
Fair enough. And you mentioned, so the folks in the studio, you'll like the realism, the weapons, FPS games, stuff like that. Is it true that you guys actually have a lab at your office with like all this equipment and these guns and stuff that you can like experiment with and try out and stuff?
Yeah, we like have a lot of stuff in the office. Like it's deactivated weapons, a lot of gear all around the world. Companies and just like-minded people, players wanting to show us something. They send us gear, and we use it for 3D scanning and modeling, proper modeling, and we go to fire ranges pretty often with like engineers, like programmers and animators and 3D modelers. We like trying to give them all needed information to recreate stuff like in real life. So yeah, our office like looks like some kind of like guerrilla warfare office with a lot of weapons hanging all around the office.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent, excellent. And I came across this video series as well. It seems like there's quite a story, there's quite a universe around this game. You even have your own like it's called the Raid video series around this universe. Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Like it's a big universe. It's called Russia 2028. Like it consists like the time period like from a start of 20th century till like now and near future, and it was created like several years before we even started to like creating games, and it was more like art project or something like the future, like this not distant future of potential like events in the world, but it will be situated in fictional region, the Norvinsk region, and the city of Norvinsk and city of Tarkov. And like quite a big amount of information, a lot of like different factions, private military companies, mega corporation called Terror Group. So like the storyline and like the story basis of the game, it right now it's like not so like obviously seen in the game, and the plan for the next patches actually want to input into the game, add into the game storyline quests. They will add this unknown things like information about lore and like characters, events and stuff, so it will be more clear what's going on and why everything actually is going on like this in EFT in city of Tarkov. So it's a pretty big like topic to cover actually, because I think it will be better for everybody to see it in the game.
Yeah, well, and to watch at least the first episode of the Raid, because man, I watched that and that was intense. That was really well done. I enjoyed that very much. So we're talking about this game. It's this hardcore, very realistic. We'll talk about some of the realistic elements here soon, but what kind of gamer did you build this, with this in mind? Like if you had to pick your target gamer, let's call this target gamer Jesse, how would you describe Jesse, the person you're making this for?
I will describe it like player who is ready to struggle, who is aware about that the game will be punishable, and the person he like must be ready not having fun actually.
Because supposed to be ready to not have fun.
Yeah, because like the ultimate idea of EFT to receive like the this like joy and happiness of actual survival in the game. Like you will do it. It will be hard, but if you actually won, it will give you a lot of like positive emotions, which you will never like experience in any other game. And the opposite side of it, you will die a lot, and you must like be ready for it. So the average player, it's a hardcore player, PC gamer, of course, because the game runs on PC right now, but it's planned actually on consoles like a lot later.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah, and you must be ready for it. And it's like it's being told like almost like every podcast in the game. We have like the disclaimers in the game that the game will be punishable and you will die. So like get
Be
used
warned.
to it faster, as much faster as possible. And yeah, like it's
Well, I died a lot when I played it, so
yeah,
so that sounds
it's
about
usual
right.
thing. Mhm.
Yeah.
So
No, go ahead.
yeah, in general, the audience we targeted is not a casual audience for sure.
Mhm.
Even we have some such like a different amount of different features and like things to they look like more not like arcade, like they simpler than just some hardcore like mid-core elements
Mhm.
of the game. It's still the core of the game is hardcore and brutal, so you need to be experienced in everything actually. And
Mhm.
most importantly, you must understand, and it's like a crucial part of the game. You must search, you must get the information about the game by yourself. So you must learn the game first,
Mhm.
so actually like to have a good performance in the game and have a better chance to survival and have tactical advantage in the game. So again, these elements based like from real life experience. To actually need to know something, need
Mhm.
to have some skills, real life skills, to do something specific in the real life, as it is in the game too. You need to at least understand how like the basic gun modding works, how like you should move in real life battle situations. Of course, you can play the game, like die a lot, and eventually you will get the point.
Mhm.
But it's always a good thing to know something related to real life combat experience. I know it sounds like pretty hard actually, but it like I personally uh, didn't uh, participate in like real life combat, thank God. Like and but the whole like experience and references related to it like totally related to game like development process, and that's why we always consulting with different kind of experienced uh, people to actually put something in game, and it will look like as much real as possible, as much real as playable. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
not for
No.
this game is not for everybody, unfortunately. But if you started to play it and you like seeing that you're pretty decent at least in the
Mhm.
game, that's your game.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah, there was yeah, it you definitely capture the essence of it. So I was in the military, active combat, and there are a lot of elements to it that are just very 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 spot on, right? And a lot of the communication that happens in the team and stuff like that, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the movement and the call outs and stuff like that is really cool.
Actually,
I like. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. Actually, we have in mind another thing that we must like not must we try to make this game like so realistic, so it will
Hmm.
bring actual some kind of effect on people. They will like receive some feedback, some like emotions that will drive them crazy or give some kind of post-traumatic things. So I know that some of the like ex-military play our game to combat the PTSD,
Oh,
and
interesting.
yeah, and a lot of actually we have a lot of players who like thanked us for the game because their life changed in different kind of ways, and
Hmm.
especially ex-military who like combat this disorder, and
Hmm.
people who just wanting to like have emotions that they don't have in real life, and it gives us them some kind of reboot. They are
Hmm.
reboot, and they like starting to feel life more like alive and with colors. I don't know how to say
Hmm.
it exactly. So something like this, actually.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean it's yeah, it's definitely worth checking out just to see. I mean, there are so many things that like one of the things that really caught my eyes, there's no aiming reticule, which is a pretty normal thing for shooter games to have, but obviously you don't have one of those in real life. You have to actually aim, and you don't know how many bullets are in a weapon. You don't know what the status of kind of anything is unless you spend the time to count or inspect or whatever. And it's a very interesting take on the genre that, as you had said, focuses a lot on the realism, on being like kind of this hardcore game. So yeah. But if you do play, I do expect to die a lot. I did. But it's a lot of fun. So kind of maybe switch it up to maybe a lighter topic. I know you had said when you started the studio, the first game that you had made used Unity. And this game is using Unity. Obviously, very different games. What was behind the decision to use Unity in making a game of kind of this size?
It was just a simple thing. The experience, we had a lot of experience with Unity, with our game called Contract Wars, and it was not only about the experience in actual engine. It was experience in FPS genre, and it was also in the same universe. So we just decided to carry on, and that's it.
Okay, easy enough. And you had said you have these patches coming out and stuff. I know you just released a patch. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about what was in that latest patch?
Yeah, it was like a pretty big patch, actually, not like major one. It was about fixing stuff, of course, as always. This patch added the really cool and big expansion to customs location. Customs is iconic location of EFT, and it's not only the expansion. We also add new extraction point. We added stationary weapons on this location. So. And we redesigned a bit, added more colors, added more detail to it. So it's renewed customs locations, and as far as I can know, right now it's like number one in popularity in the game right now. So also added different kind of quality of life things, mostly fixes actually, and what else? Optimizations. Yeah, it was mainly about technical stuff, but with a bunch of content. The next patch, 12.8, it will contain more. We added two types of weapons: new shotgun and grenade launcher. And the next patch, 12.8, will give us more stuff. It will be a lot more new gear. The game right now has a lot of gear, has a lot of items. Actually, it's more than 2,000 different kind of items already in the game. Yeah, but it's planned more. I think 2 times more than we have right now. So we will add new weapons, new gear, new clothing, and many other things. So the next patch will be quality of life patch. It will also we will give different kind of features related to easier task management, sorting, helpful buttons, helpful shortcuts to save you time, because the game has a lot of buttons to click and a lot of tables to scroll. That's why we add this helpful things. That's it. Also, there will be more stuff, but we all
gotta keep some of it secret.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you mentioned customs being this iconic location and this most popular. Obviously, so the game is in beta right now. And is it true that you do most of your marketing through streamers and stuff like you're not spending big budget dollars to get these players, but still it's becoming very popular online purely through the online community?
We spent $0 to actual advertising.
Oh wow!
So the game was done and being done with the soul, with the passion, and the idea to have. We just want to make a good game. I know that many studios say such kind of things, we just want to create a good game and etc. But we are independent. We don't have any publisher, and we don't have any investor. So all the things are ours, and that's why. I personally just want to create something interesting and give something for this audience that we discussed earlier, some kind of game, old school PC game, and it will bring something new, especially for those who love FPS and weapons and military stuff. So the idea is about it. And yeah, we didn't spend any additional budget to actual marketing. Like we have a lot like of propositions, no proposals. I don't know how to say it.
Sure.
It's like yeah, a lot of things like they want to give us money just to advertise something in the game, or let's advertise it on our platform or something like we are not interested in it, because
Hmm.
right now the game has like the grip, it's already popular, and all we need right now is actually complete it and like fulfill our obligations to like deliver like completed finished game, because there is a lot of things still planned, a lot of
Hmm.
features have to come, like many cool features related like to weapons and tactical part of the game. So yeah, and that's why it all going like viral, it's all organic, and I don't know, maybe just the people wanted such
Hmm.
game, and that's why they played it. And I know like many streamers like become professional streamers only because of EFT. They
Hmm.
started from like 100 viewers, and right now it's 7,000, 10,000, and they like totally happy with it, because EFT made their lives.
That's awesome. It goes to show, like, if you have this vision and you find your core target audience and you deliver to them, just how effective that really can be.
Mm-hmm.
And to, as you had said, to get just such a big community around this, people watching it and streaming it and stuff like that. That's without spending any marketing money at all, because that's always like one of those big challenges, right? Is
Yeah.
allocating marketing budget versus development costs. So that's fantastic. So when we're talking about realism, and obviously the gameplay has to feel right, and you have all these like realistic weapons and movement and sort of tactical gameplay, but another part of that is just how things look. And what were some of the challenges of getting the game to look real, or graphically be real,
Yeah.
especially because you have like Hollywood movies telling you things
Mm-hmm.
look like this and they don't in real life and stuff like that. What were some of the challenges to make it look right?
So again, like this, it's a real like struggle to actually make the game with beautiful graphics, especially in Unity engine, because it's kind of hard, especially in the times like early times of Unity engine, that like it wasn't so many like plugins, like assets to create like
But we
scriptable
got better.
pipelines. Yeah, of course. That's why we started to implement different kind of cool stuff,
Sure.
like new shaders, and of course we plan to do a total graphic overhaul before the release. So I personally don't like EFT graphics, because I
Mhm.
want like always wanting better graphics in the game. That's
Mhm.
why it's in plans. Actually, we will redone the vegetation stuff, like shaders, weapon shaders,
Mhm.
so like atmospheric effects, like fogging and stuff. So it's outdated already, and right now the graphics more solve like I don't know how to say, like tactical purpose. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
we need something to cover, like vegetation, just to cover things. We need some kind of fog just to like represent real life fog. It will not be like photorealistic, but at least something. It will
Mhm.
give us the idea that this is fog, this is indoor lighting, like something. Of course, we created a lot of things, visual things in the engine by ourselves, like different kind of ambient lighting stuff, our own shaders,
Hmm.
and like effects even. So like a lot of things actually we created by ourselves. And again, it's still not enough, when we will like redo things later before the release. Like by the
Sure.
release, we will do it. So yeah, like. It's a pretty hard task to represent in-game graphics to look like in real life.
Mhm.
It's like we started to use more 3D scanned assets,
Okay.
and 3D scanned textures, and yeah, it's better than it was, but still, like to recreate the perfect photorealistic graphics, you need like RTX stuff, you need ray tracing, you need like ambient lighting, ambient shadows, and stuff. And it all must be in real life, I don't
Real time.
real time. Yes,
Yeah.
real
Yep.
time. It's like it's a challenge to create it real time, because again, you can make a perfect demo scene. It will be like with fake lightning, with fake indirect lightning. It will be like perfect actually.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try to move your sun, you must understand that all of the reflections, all of the lightning and ambient lighting must behave properly, like physically, and in based on our detailization and like overall like areas of location with like such a big detailization,
Mm-hmm.
such like detailed models and details like assets of the game, like many details like garbage and stuff. So it's all means that it's a lot of objects, it's a lot of
Of course.
polygons, and you need like to compute it somehow in real time. All of
Mm-hmm.
these bounces, all of this lightning like things, and I don't know. We tried to do it with like standard assets, and it always wasn't so good, because at least it just like was a lot of memory consumption, for example, and something. So yeah, that's why we started to iterate it and like implement some simplified versions of
Mm-hmm.
real physical effects, real physical like lightning and stuff. So that was the struggle, to make something look at least uh,
Representative.
partially, yeah, representative, but will not like have a huge impact on like your CPU or your memory, on your video memory. So yeah, that was
Absolutely.
the
Yeah,
struggle.
hardcore games like this live and die on their performance, right?
Yeah,
You don't want to die in a firefight because the system lagged,
yeah,
because that's definitely the worst. So yeah, I imagine that would be quite a challenge because these are pretty large areas, that people are running around in, and there's a lot of objects, as you had said, a lot of just, so performance has to be a real concern,
yeah.
as far as
That's
getting
why.
graphics
That's
right.
why it's ongoing process. We're still
Of course.
fighting with it, because we don't. I can't say that the game is perfect right now in terms of optimization, in terms of freezes, lags, or etc. So yeah, like we plan to move to Unity 2019, and it will give us more things. We plan to move to C++ builds. It will give us more stuff, especially related to anti-cheat measures and stuff. So
Hmm.
every every measure counts actually, and every like helpful things are getting used in the game to help us like fix the game and get it run better.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. So one of the, so we're kind of talking about graphics and optimization, but on the other side, there's obviously gameplay performance and stuff like that, especially when we're talking about, networking games and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, where, people are distributed and playing. Like, what were some of the challenges for optimizing for like CPU, like to get the gameplay performant, but still realistic and for many people at the same time?
It's another challenge actually. If we didn't have this struggle with the networking, with like anti-cheat measures, with optimization, we actually like we would complete the game like a long time ago, I think done. So 2 years ago, for example. So
Mm-hmm.
like we spent so many time to actually fight these issues, to fix them, to understand how exactly we should fix them. And yeah, and especially with the help of Unity team, like code review team, a lot of things were done and refined. But all of the networking part of the game is the big challenge, like
Mm-hmm.
the biggest, actually the biggest challenge in the whole development process of EFT.
Yeah, I'd imagine. It's, well, yeah, and I mean, even just the work that has to go into just anti-cheat amongst everything else, I'd imagine is pretty considerable. How many players actually can play concurrently at a time in a match?
Right now, what we just optimized the server with pretty cool stuff. I don't know how to tell it exactly. Something adaptive something.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we are able to easily have 30 or even 40 players on location.
Is it adaptive load balancing?
I think something like this, yeah, because I'm not like the network engineer, but it's like, yeah, it's adaptive thing. It correlates on an actual count of players and optimize traffic, optimize like animation system and different kind of things on the running on the server. So yeah, like we have like 10, 15, 20 players maximum, and 20 players meant that the server will definitely lag at least at some point. Right now it's more like smooth and allow us to have 30 or even 40 players. I think it could be more actually, especially with the asset optimization, additional server asset optimization. And we're slow in getting there because we don't have like plans to actually have 100 players on the location, because the game is not battle royale. And but the upcoming, like the biggest, the huge and the best, and like I think the itself, this location itself, the game, the EFT is all about the Streets of Tarkov location. It's so like big and so complicated. So the idea to have over there minimum 40 players roaming around the city will be really good. And if we will like be able to actually increase this number to, I don't know, like 60 or 70 players, I think it will be massive. Like to have such kind of interaction between so many players on the location, because the Streets of Tarkov is a maze, like full scale center of the city, and with like a lot of buildings to loot and a lot of places to cover. So it will be a pretty good thing to have such a big amount of players over there.
What if you were to, now hear me out here, 200 versus 200? What do you think? Just
it will be too much, I think.
Okay, fair
for the current conditions, yeah.
Fair enough. So I mean, so there are a lot of interesting mechanics that you've put into place. You've obviously worked a lot with people who are very knowledgeable about combat and combat equipment and things like that. What would you say your favorite mechanics in the game are? The things that you're just like, yes, that thing is so cool.
The first one, of course, is weapon customization. I wanted to create EFT first about, like, I just wanted to have detailed, in-depth weapon customization with a lot of mods, with a lot of real-life equipment, and real weapons behave, like, realistically. So the first feature is, of course, weapon customization. The second thing, I think that it's upcoming weapon malfunctions, like jamming and stuff. It will be, like, covered in detail. Overheating, of course. And my favorite feature that will also come, I hope, in this year, it's a customizable tactical rigs. So we'll be able to actually customize your tactical gear with pouches, with different kind of things as you want him, as like battle situation needed. So you'll be able to actually make your own, like, plate carrier with different kind of setup. So actually, these things that I constantly do in real life, because I love these things. I'm going to fire ranges. Yeah, I'm going to fire ranges, and it's not like just I'm standing and fire on some, like, targets. I have gear, like the plate carrier too, and I just love this thing, and I always wanted to have detailed, customizable gear in the game, and that's why it's my third favorite feature in the game.
Nice. What's the most ridiculous gun you've ever fired?
Ridiculous guns? I don't know, actually, because maybe some, like, I fired World War, like, first era weapon. I don't know how it is. It was kind of ridiculous. It was a machine gun, pretty hard to load and reload. But I don't know, like, I love modern weapons, and for me, all of them are pretty interesting, especially moddable weapons. It's my choice. I love weapons with a lot of customizational capabilities. Again, like in EFT. So I just love to make things like in real life, in the game, in real life, and it's all for me, like, important and interesting.
Were there any parts of the game that you made the mechanic realistic and then realized, but that's just not fun, so you decided to make it not as realistic?
Yeah, of course. Like many things. For example, the helmet armor behavior. Like in real life, you don't have the super helmet that will stop any bullets, and you will be like easily roaming around, like just you will just shot in the head and just, oh, it's okay, I will go
Hmm.
on the next building. So we decided to give them more protection, to actually have some like variety, and to give a player additional chance not to die from a single headshot. So
Mm.
that's why we added like more protection to them, more than real life, and it's not real actually.
Hmm.
But again, if we didn't do that, all the helmets will be the same. Like every helmet will not protect you from the like the big part of ammunition that we have in the game.
Mm.
Just an example. Some things, I think it's like some kind of storm over there. Uh,
That'll happen.
yeah. So yeah, like some features requires balancing, especially as I said before, the game must be as realistic as playable,
Hmm.
because some of the features could be really hard to understand and to use in the game, because you don't have uh, the ability to move like in real life in the game. You can add more like different kind of features related to movement, to leaning, like to tactical handling of weapons, but
Hmm.
still it's not real life. That's why we need to make some kind of simplified process, simplified features that will be easier to use. For example, we have auto compensation of recoil, like
Mm.
your trained like private military contractor will auto compensate like long bursts of like automatic weapons.
Hmm.
And it's like actually it's a questionable things that the community wanted to remove that feature. Other than that, other people wants to keep it, and
Mm.
that's why it's like also related to actual mm, player feedback, and
Hmm.
that's why it's not so easy to implement. So it was for the 4 years. We did a lot of things which were really good, most of them, and some of the suggestions, some of the decisions were not good enough, and we started to like balance them. And there were cases that we are mm, changed them not in realistic way, but
Hmm.
more playable way. So
Mm.
yeah, it happens.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I imagine there's always some amount of balance and yeah, keeping it fair but also fun and all that stuff. Is there a so there's these kind of two factions of the game. Is there any mechanical difference between them, or is it just purely just aesthetic?
Right now, the difference between USEC and beer is like they speak different languages. They look
Hmm.
different. They have unique clothing, and in the future, they will have unique traders, unique quests,
Mm.
and maybe something more, just to unique skills too.
Mm.
So it will not be a game changers, but just to like to make some difference between the two factions, because we are playing the story like being developed through an eye of a generic contractor. So it's
Hmm.
not related to actually beer or USEC. It's just like private military contractor, and that's it.
Okay. So, of the game as it stands right now, what would you say that you're most proud of?
Hmm, that's an interesting question. I'm most proud of, as I told you before, that the game actually has a positive impact on society.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
always wanted to create something that I will love to play
Hmm.
by myself. I've always wanted to have a company where my colleagues will be happy enough to develop things, and I always wanted to create something that will influence on society, on people, on world even.
Hmm.
And for me, it's like a really important thing that our game influence on people in good way. They give like different kind of perks, and I think it's most important for me. If we will like, if I say something about the actual process, hmm, I like how everything working like
Mm-hmm.
works. Like
Mm-hmm.
I designed many things in my head, like on the design documentation, and finally when I see the puzzle fits in it, and it all works as intended, as I
Mm-hmm.
planned, and it's pretty good like
When
feeling.
it clicks. Yeah.
Yeah,
When you're like, that's exactly what I had in mind. That's
yeah.
perfect. Excellent. Excellent. And, so this has been a over 4 year sort of process of building this game. What would you say, like, what was maybe the most important thing you learned about, this process or about the game or that you discovered while making it?
A lot of things actually. For example, world is changing. Like the
Mm-hmm.
game developer processes are changing. People changing to like players are always like changing to something like I don't know how to tell it exactly. You can't plan. You don't. It's always a bad idea for myself. It's always a bad idea to have a perfect plan that
Mm-hmm.
somebody said to you, like, I was working in a company for 20 years and you should do this, you should do that. It's not working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I knew it earlier, I like would kinda changed my strategy, because it's all like constantly moving and changing, and you need to react. So you need to be more operative and have like always like the idea to adapt to things, especially in actual game developer process, because many of the features that you planned could not like be good enough like in specific areas, in specific like time periods. So that's why I need to think and adapt to the situation that's ongoing. For me, it was kind of a new thing. Also, it's always like in real life, you always get a surprise about how people react and
Mm-hmm.
what it is like social interaction, because I always knew and was sure about people reaction and the people and in general, but it's so many good and bad things went with our like society, with our actual community of the game. So
Mm-hmm.
it's always like a surprise for me. They can react in many different ways, and
Yeah. Always
not,
unexpected.
yeah, always unexpected, and the most importantly, this reaction will not be as you planned. So it will
Mm-hmm.
be something different. It could be bad, it could be good, it could be
Mm-hmm.
totally different thing. And it's, for me, like I have so many cases that like people behaved such inadequate or something. Like it was like totally new for me, and I didn't know how to react to this. So that's why the process of creating such game, I think any game or any product related to a big community, so you need to keep in mind that people will react in many different ways, and you should be ready for different kind of like feedback from them.
Interesting. No, that's interesting. Yeah, you always forget. I mean, at the end of the day, people are playing your game, right? And you're assuming that you're building the right thing, or you assume how they're going to receive something, but then it's out there, and then people
Mm-hmm.
actually react and stuff like that, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to maybe be a bit flexible with it. I also like what you pointed out about just because something had been done 20 years at this studio this way or whatever, that doesn't make it the right way to go about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll have studios swear up and down that you have to work with a publisher and you have to do all these things, but you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it a completely different way, and it's
Yeah,
working, right?
yeah,
And I think that's a very valuable thing to call out and say, and have a real world example that just because it was done that way doesn't make it necessarily the right way. It was just done that way.
yeah.
And there are many ways to accomplish, especially in this industry.
Yeah, like for us, it's a big experiment still. Like the game itself, it's a pretty unique experience. We have like a lot of things that anybody didn't do before us, and it's an experience. It's a beta, but again, many of the players didn't understand that it's beta, and it's an experiment, not only for us developers, for them too. And we all need to take it easy, actually. Everybody, the media, players, developers, we all need to take it
We
easy.
need to chill a little bit.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe it's because of like the current world situation. People are kind of tense, like they're edgy, you know, like they're always trying to find something bad and stick to it. But it's a bad thing. It destroys their minds, our minds. It destroys our soul. We need to take it easy.
There you go. Just need to chill a bit and play a video game like Escape from Tarkov. So where can players find this, and when will this be out?
Right now, you can play it like on the www.escapefromtarkov.com. It's free to purchase. It's in beta. It's in like early access, as you might. And the full-scale release is planned. I can tell you when, because I don't know really. But we are closer and closer every day. And I think we need like more time, not like really long amount, really big amount of time, but at least we see somewhere it's been seen like where we're going. So
you have an idea,
yeah. Right now, like many people, many players, like think that EFT looks like a not finished but pretty solid project that like you need to play. Yes, it has bugs, it has lags and different kind of issues, but still it's a good thing to play. Like it will give you a good experience, like interesting experience. I personally always saying that if you don't want to experience like unbalanced stuff, bugs, lags or something, cheaters, like for example, you should not buy it. You should not take part in the development, because for ourselves, for myself, it's not like the purchase of the game. It's participation in development process. Because again, there is nobody between us, players, and we are developers. Nobody around us. No publisher, no additional, people who can influence on us. So maybe it's a perfect condition. I don't know, but maybe, I don't know. I think people don't understand that it is it's a pretty unique conditions that we all should be like utilizing fully to create something interesting, because community and the game players, it's all the same. Like if there were no community, we don't have, the game itself will not be existing. So
yeah, true. Very cool. Awesome. Well, I mean, last question for you here. What's next for Battlestate Games after, obviously the game is still in beta and you're still working on it, but once that launches, like, what's next?
I wanted to make something new, of course. Like I want to relax from hardcore FPS genre, maybe create something different in different genre. It could be this like the hardcore title, but it could be not FPS or something. They just want
Could
to
you make
relax.
the first hardcore match 3 game?
That's too extreme. Too extreme. Hardcore bicycle riding. Hardcore. I don't know. Like many ideas actually.
Escape from the bike lane, you'll call it.
Yeah, I just had the conversation a long time ago. Like you name like any game, and I can make it hardcore. Like any game, and it's possible. You can make like the totally hardcore auto simulator with all of these like parts and like actual mechanical things to tune your like car like in different ways, with also charts and scientific stuff. It will be cool, I think. Like again, it will be suitable for like pretty like not big audience, actually, a small audience, but we will always not about like big money, big audience. We wanted to create something that we will like and love to play.
So something unique and not for everybody. Not like just like it contains like specific and big amount of information that casual player will not need, and
That's it. So
Hmm.
it's more for those who wants to know something new in the game.
They want
So
to
yeah,
study and excel. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why the next game, I don't know, it definitely will be something different. I don't know, because the time like is going fast, and
Mm.
we all need to create as much as possible, to do as much as possible. So we'll see. After the release, the EFT will produce DLCs,
Hmm.
because the game is not like free to play. It's like buy to play. We will not like, we don't have any microtransaction,
Mm.
and will not have like in the future. That's why we will have GLCs with different kind of additions, new locations, new traders, and like events and stuff. But it's for the future.
Mm.
Oh, this is it.
Excellent. Excellent. Fantastic. Well, thank you so very much for being here today. So again, the game has been Escape from Tarkov by Battlestate Games. And, I appreciate you being here, Nikita. It was awesome talking with you and hear more about this game. And I'm sure I'll go play it and die a whole lot more. But still very, very cool. So again, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and take care.